As you research down the tech trees in War Thunder, you'll run into an ammunition type called Armor Piercing Discarding Sabo, APDS for short. This ammunition has higher penetration, however, if some of you have used it before, you'll notice that you have reduced damage and sometimes you run into shell shattering issues. So here I'm going to show you how to use this ammunition effectively so that you can make a smooth transition from full bore penetrators to Armor Piercing Discarding Sabo. Starting with first generation APDS, it has high vertical penetration, but its sloped armor penetration isn't that great. Taking a look at an example of the early T-54 here with a Centurion's APDS, you see that the hull is pretty much invulnerable to year-round. However, when you aim at the turret face, it's an easier target to penetrate as the armor is not nearly as angled and it's also thinner. So try to go for less sloped armor when using first generation APDS. Another thing you have to worry about with first and second gen APDS is that it actually shatters on impact of spaced armor. As an example here, we have a Leopard 1, not really known for having that great of armor. However, if you hit the tracks here, it'll shatter on the tracks and do nothing to the tank. Let's compare that with the solid shot round, which is actually going to go clean through the vehicle and possibly even kill it. Vehicles armed with third generation APDS rounds really don't have to worry about shell shatter that much, and examples of these are the M60A1 and the Chieftain. When we look at the T-55A here, you have no problems going through tracks, and it's going to go through and take out some crew members. The last issue you'll find with APDS is that it doesn't do as much damage as your previous rounds you're used to. So, we're actually going to have to make use of the X-ray in-game. Looking at the T-55, you can get a general feeling of how the crew layout is. As you can see, the driver, gunner, and commander are all in a line, meaning that if you make a pretty good shot here against the driver, your APDS round is likely to one-shot the vehicle. You can also go for stuff like fuel tanks on these T-55s. There's also an ammo rack in this fuel tank, or you can hit these ammos here back in the back. You'll need to get very familiar with modules and crew. My personal recommendation is going after the gunner and commander in these vehicles, and if you don't have that great of an option, try going for the cannon or the gun breech. So now you have a better idea on how to use APDS in War Thunder. However, there's one thing you really need to know about War Thunder. It has a mechanic that could potentially be stealing 95% of your research points. I go over this mechanic in this video over here.